Hi, everybody. Let me just pause. I'm feeling great. All right, everybody. Here we are for our monthly authors only Q&A. This is becoming my favorite part of the week. And you're like, what do you mean week? I haven't seen you since the last Monday of last month. Every week I write a email which is about my publishing journey right now, as well as things I've learned from just studying publishing for kind of a long time. It has been, I took my first publishing course in 2016. That was the first time that I was like, wait, it was the first time I had heard about querying, about like looking, I didn't know what like a literary agent was. And I was like, wait a second, finding a literary agent is like the hardest part. Like, shouldn't the publishing deal be the hardest part? No, the literary agent is. And it seemed so strange to me that I might have to like really find somebody that I can pay 15% of my royalties when I'm already getting so screwed on royalties from a publishing company. So that was back in, it was actually 2015 still, end of 2015 that I had this experience. And now here we are almost 10 years later. And I'm like, all right, time to do something about this. So if you want to know a little bit more about publishing things, including my exact figures for self-publishing so far, you can go to mommyonami.com/authors. And you'll get a free four-part series, after which you'll be invited to join my private group of just authors. Right now, there's 48 of us, and I send out a newsletter every single Sunday that's kind of recapping what it is that I've learned so far. So on the last Monday of every month, we do a Q&A. And there's only one question this week, but it's a really, really good one. It's about how to start a platform for yourself from scratch as an author. And so you can expect a really good masterclass here about starting your own platform and becoming someone that people want to read. People ask me all the time if I'm going to do like in-person events, especially for a book tour. And some of the resources that we put into the authorship over the last month were about if you're interested in doing like your own book tour. When you do a book tour with a publishing house, they don't pay you for the book tour. They don't pay you for all of that time. They also don't pay for your transportation or your housing or anything like that. So all of the flights, all of the hotels, all of the everything, the only thing that's secured is the venue. So that's kind of a lot. Some people have super extreme book tours where they're, doing 24 cities. I'm a mom of two, soon to be three. So that type of travel just like isn't really good for my family. Also, there's two lines in my family, three hermits in the family. I'm the only one that's not. So to get our whole family to go around and like travel on a book tour, me going by myself is like out of the question. That's just not how we do things here. But also it was 10:58 and I was supposed to be here and I'm literally like flipping crepes for the kids, brushing my teeth, changing my shirt, running upstairs. Like I'd have to prepare all day for a in-person event. I've always shown up for work, like seriously, like 1 minute before I have to be here. And luckily, Instagram was taking a really long time to download back on my phone. I don't keep the app on my phone because it gave me some time to be like, ooh, put some lip balm on, have a sip of water, and let's get into this. So we should have a little bit of extra time to be able to discuss like any questions that you guys have over here on Instagram. Because like I said, we only had one question this week, but it's a big one. But one of the resources that we put in relation to book tours that you can always make a deal with like a chain of movie theaters, like Regal or AMC or whatever, and do your book tour with them. And the nice thing about securing this deal is that it'd be the same deal at all of the theaters across. It's like very easy to do it in bulk. And if you think about it, like anytime you've seen people talk about the book tour or sending images from like one of these conventions and stuff, they're always sending, you're always seeing the images on social media from like inside the venue. So the stage, the curtains, the microphone, and the people in the audience. You're never seeing people post to, or, the hotel carpet for all the like, Sadhguru retreats of like 80s hotel carpet. But people are never taking selfies from like the outside and being like, oh, I'm in front of a movie theater or I'm in front of the Javits Center or whatever. So basically, it's really inexpensive. Once you have the deal, you can just secure it across all these platforms. But when you think about it, it's like theater, stage, curtains, auditorium seating, and everybody knows their way around the theater. Like basically, they just walk in. You can really lean into the branding. They can get their popcorn, they get their drinks and their candies. You don't have to worry about anything like that. And then they're just going to, like Theater 11. And once they're in, they're in. So that can be a really, if you wanted to do like a traditional book tour, you can just cut a deal with the theater to be able to do something like that. I am really about online education. I realize that like for the last 10 years, I've been calling this line of work digital workshops. I don't even know what digital means. Online, I don't even know. I don't even know how that started. Online workshops. But when it comes to a book tour, I was like, oh, should I start doing all of these in-person events and give people a chance to like meet me and see me and stuff like that? I am a lot more likely. There's a lot of moms in my audience, a lot of people that have jobs that they wouldn't be able to get away from. I kind of thrive on one-on-one connection. I've done some in-person events, but I was always really aware that, like, okay, at this event, 12 people got to hang out with me. 12 people got lucky. 12 people could make it work in their schedule to make that happen. And something that I love so much about like online education is that it's really anybody can do it from anywhere. I also, when it comes to our school and when it comes to our offerings in general, like we really double down on online services. And so we have a lot of like FOMO protection built into our school. For example, we don't do a Q&A that's like first come, first serve. And if you're lucky and if you could make it work in your schedule to come and, wait in line for 2 hours to ask me a question, you get your question answered all throughout our school for the different workshops, for Safe House, for authorship. We literally built an app to be able to do this. We have like a Q&A thread where you can drop questions literally anytime, and we have an all questions answered policy. In 2025, there's a lot of repeat questions, especially around human design. That's where we get the most repeat questions. But in 2025, we'll start, as our student volume increases, we will find ways to be able to still answer everybody's question. But if it's something that we've answered before, we might refer them to a time where we've answered this before. Honestly, like the hardest piece of scale for this for this whole school. Um, but it's pretty unlikely that I would even though my book business and the authorship is completely different to any other business that I have right now. I think it's kind of unlikely that we might do all of these in-person events because I like the inclusivity of online, and I very much believe that limitations create style. I love online courses. Like it was never a possibility for me to go to any of these Tony Robbins things, which I really wanted to because I've been learning from him for so long. It was never a possibility for me to go and do one of these events because just the travel. I'm not trying to like go to Orlando and hang out with a bunch of people in a room. It's just really not my style. And so when pandemic happened and he kind of pivoted to online, which is now such a big part of his catalog, I think it's really cool. That was the first time that ever attending any of these seminars became an even remote possibility for me. I think I'm going to do Ultimate Business Mastery this year because it's really good. I've done snippets of it. It's really good. So I'm a lot more likely to just develop something for online in general. So I will probably come up with some kind of creative way to do a book tour. The nice thing about doing things online is that you can offer people a stronger experience, like something that actually cultivates really lasting change. Instead of doing like a 24-hour immersion, you can be like, hey, we'll meet up on the last day of every month for a year. Or we'll do a book club style thing. I think there's a lot of ways that you can make a book launch really interesting online. And because, my last book launched the day I went into labor with my daughter, this book is going to be released around the time that I have like a 2 or 3 month old baby because I don't know when my baby's due. I don't know how pregnant I am. I just know that I'm pregnant and that anywhere between January and March, I'm going to have a baby. But the book is definitely set to, I do have a due date for the book, and that's in April. So it'll also have to be something that we can navigate around having a newborn. So it works for me. And I really want you to understand that, like, in this day and age where there's so much content, but now there's also so much AI, people don't want perfect. They don't want practice. Like, you've been told by so many business gurus for so long, like, you need to show up every single Friday in somebody's newsletter inbox. That's never been my vibe. I write when I'm inspired. I'm a generator. That's what you get from me. Sundays, you get something every week from me on authorship, but that's its own project. That's what that product is. But other than that, I kind of just show up when I feel like it. And it's my really firm belief that in a world of AI, people are looking just for different. They're looking for that human taste. I told the editor of my book, I'm like, I don't want it to sound perfect. I would much rather it sound different and flawed and human than to sound in any way, shape, or form like this has been run through several series of AI. Like, I really need it to sound like me. And that means, like, leave the flaws, like, leave the colloquial language. I do this on purpose. It's relatability, it's how I talk. And I really feel like when it comes to this world of AI that we live in, the last thing that people want is perfection. The last thing that they want is like the automated schedule where it's like, the robotic. Um, and you're never going to find your unique style for anything if you don't take into account your own limitations. You're never going to find your own style for anything if you don't figure out your own limitations. So, for example, self-publishing Hero, the lady that wrote 50 Shades of Grey, wrote it on her BlackBerry while she was commuting to work. And people were like, oh my God, this is such an unprofessional novel. Yeah, she wrote it on her BlackBerry while commuting to work. She didn't try and save up a certain amount of money and hope that in 3 months she would become like a publishing maven and get it all done. She just was utilizing this commute time that she had every single day really well. Now, the limitations of not maybe being able to see the whole thing chapter by chapter on your computer, on your docs, this might have created a less professional book, something that's just way too easy to read, something that's just way too easy to read. That created a really unique style because she was able to take advantage of that time slot. Something else is like there's always I read Court of Thorns and Roses recently. I like every now and then picking up like a really popular fiction book and just kind of seeing, I'm getting ready to write my first fiction book once Wheels Reinvented comes out. So I like just kind of seeing what's going on, especially in like the world of like erotic fiction and stuff like that. None of it really gets me going because the characters aren't complex enough. But some of the most satisfying and well-performing books are books that are heavily criticized for having super 2D characters and these little kind of story threads that go nowhere. People don't care. People, like, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect. But and the attempt to make it perfect is the attempt to make it sound more like AI. Like, AI will be consistently serving you up perfect and you're going to hate it the same way that you start to get frustrated or not frustrated, because other people's faces aren't really frustrating you unless you go to Sephora. Um, and sometimes I do get a little frustrated when I see so many drawings. Can I help you? I'm like, you have freckles drawn on your face. It's it'd be hard to receive that over. But when so many people have gotten plastic surgery to have the same face, like the same standard of beauty, you start to really crave like a hooked nose. You start to really crave a different look. And I think that if you're trying to get your book to be perfect, you're never going to honor all the limitations you have that's going to make your book you. So one of the limitations I had early on in my career was that I just could not deal with video editing software. I just like couldn't handle it. And I wanted to be putting YouTube videos up, but I just couldn't. At the time, Periscope was like a live streaming app that was doing it. Was before live streaming came to Instagram, but I was like going on Periscope a lot and just doing live streams. Um, but I didn't want to ever have to edit my videos for you. You know, I was like on Periscope, I'm raw, but on YouTube, you know, I want to be professional. I want to have something clear that I'm delivering. I want to be able to title the video something specific. But if I can't edit my videos, I need to find a way to edit my mind. And that's how I started to become more comfortable with speaking unprompted without notes on a specific topic for any duration of time, was because I couldn't edit videos. It wasn't because I was like, I want to be a speaker. It was a limitation of like, I cannot edit videos. The limitation of me being a full-time mom. Like you guys see me at work all the time, but like this is my baby having era. Like the main thing I do is raise my children. Like that's the number one thing that's what I do with 95% of my time. I'm always with my kids. I'm getting ready to go on my first business trip alone. Well, actually, it'll be my second one. I'm going to be in LA for a grand total of 18 hours in and out getting some work done. Could I stay? Could I tell my husband, yes, this is like my career moment. And if I'm going to LA, I'm going to enjoy it and I'm going to go to a spa and I'm going to be gone for, you know, this amount of time and you know, enjoy it and I'll see you when I get back. I could totally do that, but I like being with my kids. I have good mental health as a mom because I know how to care for my mental health alongside my children. Like I know that when I'm struggling mentally, it's not the time to sit on my phone and get stressed out about how I'm not doing self-care next to my children. It's time for me to unplug from everything and spend 2.5 hours doing modeling clay with my daughter. I care for my mental health alongside my children. I don't need a break from my kids. I keep my house clean. I found out how to do all of these things alongside my children, and I really like it. I really like it. This is the path that I've chosen for myself. So the limitations of knowing the type of parent that I want to be and saying no to everything that would take me away from that, even if people are like, oh, you deserve this or this is normal, like that's just not how we do it here. That's just not how we do it here. I was telling my husband recently, I got to make a reel about this. All of my crones in the audience are going to get down with this, but I I'm nearing 40. I'm 3 years out from it, maybe. I think I'm turning 37. I was born in 1987, at the end of 1987. So I think I'm turning 37 this year. My husband's been lying to me about my own age for a long time, so I never know how old I am. I'm born in 1987. But I knew that like I didn't want to turn 40 and still be like the distracted boyfriend meme, with every diet that goes by, with every new writing ritual that goes by, with every, I didn't want to, I wanted to know myself. And I guess I assumed that like when I would get closer to 40, that knowing myself would be like, because I know myself, I now have all of these things that I do. I work out every day. I do my this every day. I do my this every day. I'm the healthiest, wealthiest version of myself because of all of these things that I do because I know myself. And what's been really interesting as I'm getting older is like the more I know myself, I know Demama will probably have a laugh at this one, but the longer that I get to know myself, the more things I say no to, I'm like, yeah, I'm not a worker outer. Like, it's just not my thing. Like, all of those like stretching, diets, like that shit doesn't work for me. Like, no, it's not something that I can do. I'm so excited to have a third kid because I'm like inviting you to hear, no, don't do that. Me going to where you're inviting me, also most likely going to be a no. It's this really big list of things. I thought of that growing up and knowing myself would be adopting all of these rituals that for the last 30 years of my life, other people have told me need to be important to me and what it's now looking like. And man, I'm so excited for the next phase of my life because like all of these things are like, I don't gotta do that. Like, I don't gotta do that. I spent the first fucking 40 years of my life learning how to drive this car that is me. And I'm determined to spend the next 40 years in just enjoying the ride. And then the last like 10 to 15 years just being like, fuck everything, like I don't care. I'm hoping to go into like full nihilism again when I'm in my 90s. Either that or like drugs when it's like safe to be like, you guys, I've always wanted to like enter an opium era. I'll probably be so fucking crazy at that point. I'm looking forward to, but I know myself now, and the more that I understand my limitations, like the more defined my style is. So when, if people are asking me in 10 years, like, how did you create this thing that you created? It won't be like, oh, I had this vision for an online business. It's just that like my need to support my family coincided with the birth of my first children and the limitation of what kind of parent I wanted to be directly opposed the work schedule that everyone else was recommending I take. So this was really like the only way that I could do it. And that's how it happened. The more limitations you have, the more unique your writing style is going to be. So if you're like, we've got 47 people on authorship. Most people say that they're writing a book, and I'm not expecting anybody to adopt the practices that I have, but we have a chat on our community that's called Clock In, and I'm the only person in there for the most part. But you see me there 5 days a week. Like I'm in there editing my pages 5 days a week, and if you feel like you're stunted in the creation of your book, you're never stuck. There's just like a move that you might not know that you need to make. Like for example, if you have a book and idea, but you're not able to get it out there, you probably haven't thought about what publishing path you want to take. And that's something that you really need to think of before the book is constructed, because the order in which you need to deliver your products are different. Like if you're going with traditional publishing, you need to do a proposal first. If you're self-publishing, you can write the book, but you need to be thinking from the beginning of like, how do I build an audience that's going to want to buy this book now? So there's these different factors that you have to take into consideration. If you know the publishing path that you want to take and you know the book that you want to write, but you just can't seem to get the words on the page, you might be trying to adopt a writing routine that isn't honoring your unique limitations. Like you might have just read from so many male authors that don't have children, but they wake up at 5 a.m., write for 2 hours, and then go run 5 miles. And that's like the writer's schedule. That most likely just doesn't work for you. Like you have to have some type of production goal that means something to you, that allows you to miss the right time in order to find the right moment. And when you have a deadline or you understand your limitations, like, look, like I'm just not, one of my limitations is that my husband and I watch Kaka TV. That's like our thing. That's why we watched 3 episodes of Walking Dead last night. We've been through 5 seasons of The Walking Dead in I think like 3 weeks. Like my husband and I binge watch TV shows. This is like has been our date night since we first met and got pregnant. We started watching Vikings. And it's not like, oh my God, you guys aren't connecting with each other. My husband and I have also spent 24/7, 365 together since we met. I retired him. Now he works for me, but I retired him the second we got together. I was like, I'll handle this. You watch kids. And that, expired pretty fast. You guys learn an erotic wealth. But we love our Kaka TV shows. We hang out, get quality time with each other all day, every day. We watch our Kaka TV shows at night. And when I'm like really obsessed with production, I'm like, oh, I've got to wake up at 5, which means no more cockativi for us. And every time we make this call of like no more cockativi, we have a few days where we're all like, wow, look at how productive I am. But our pleasure starts to wane a little bit. So one of my limitations is that I cannot wake up early consistently and be the kind of mom I want to be. Like everyone's going to pay if I'm underslept. I am the low ohm that keeps his family. I am like the regulator. I keep everybody fed. I keep everything moving. I keep people's emotions on cue. I harmonize everybody's different desires. When I've got my three fucking two lines arguing about what they want to do this morning, I'm listening to everybody and say, okay, you guys all want the same thing. Here's how you're going to all do it together. I don't have the capacity to do something like that when I'm underslept. Therefore, I cannot keep blaming myself for not providing the production level that I want to because I didn't wake up at 5 a.m. Like I need to throw this out. Now, what do I know about myself? Let's bring in even more limitations. Okay, well, here's another limitation. I can't wake up early, no. But my best writing, and I'm most excited about writing, and I love it the most when it's the first thing that I do in the morning. So that limitation creates my style, and that style of my writing becomes my family style. Turns out that every single member of my family, and most people that have kids are like, if my kids had things their way, they would do it like this as well. We all like to wake up and get on our screens in the morning. Like coffee, we'll mingle around a little bit, 20 minutes, whatever. But then my kids will always ask to watch a show. My husband always wants to go to the bathroom for 45 minutes with his phone and like look at trucks. Fine. And me, I like to sit and write. I like to just hit on my laptop and sit and write. When I take out guilt or shame about how I think that my life should look based on how other people's lives work that are not doing things like me, that don't have the same limitations as me. When I absolve myself of any of the guilt and the shame around that and just honor that, like, this really works for my family, I can stay up as late as I fucking want. And you know who else can stay up as late as they fucking want? My kids can stay up as late as they fucking want too. No problem. You know what's really inconvenient? Putting my kids down at 9 o'clock and then staying up late watching Kaka TV with my husband so that my kids wake up at 7 and I'm like, ugh, literally like Walking Dead. It all works out really well. Like the limitations of the things that I really want, the things that I can't live without, create this really beautiful family style where we have slow mornings. Like every single morning is a slow morning for us. We don't really get going. We don't sit down to eat breakfast and do stuff until like 11:30, 12. And that's just how our family rolls. And I fucking love that for us. So there's so many things that like you feel like you need to be doing. And I want you to investigate like where did these things come from for you, especially as they relate to your creative process. You know how many people robotically do the artist way every single day? I wake up and I write morning pages for three every single day because that's what artists do. There's nothing wrong with journaling. I am a big lover of journaling. I like to do it in the sauna. But that's not the only way. These different practices and these different routines, they're like malas in spirituality. You know, those like you ever meet like a total douchebag that's wearing like a total like meathead that wears like a mala, like the yoga necklaces, and you kind of just want to call it what it is. Like, listen, you want to wear jewelry, but you're too broke. You're not meditating with these like fucking Buddha beads. This is just your cheap jewelry. But the amount of times that I've met somebody that I would put a good $100 on, that's a date rapist right there, wearing prayer beads. So men of the world, get rid of those prayer beads. Get rid of those prayer beads. If you're not actually praying with them, then don't do it. But like literally, like you're not fooling anybody. Get yourself a piece of jewelry if you want to wear it. Paint your nails. I'm so sick of saying these things, but those malas are meant to, the same where like in Ifa, the different beads that you wear, they have a special name, but I don't know what they are, different color beads for each of the orishas. Um, you're meant to wear these things, and if they break and fall off, it's good. Like in Ifa, if your protection necklace breaks, you don't go, oh my God, I gotta go get a new one right away. It means it did its job. It protected you. It took a blow for you. Everything has meaning in Ifa. It's a really fun, it's really cool. Really easy to like move into a completely different plane of existence. If you guys want to know someone I know that is a priestess in Ifa, her name is Your Spiritual Mermaid. You guys can follow her on Instagram. She's cool. Similarly, a mala is meant to break at a certain point, and when your mala breaks, it means that it's done its job. So these different rituals, these different spiritual practices and stuff that you bring in, they're not meant to be like a medication that you take forever that you start to get prissy about. Like, if I don't do this before I have my matcha, I'm going to really freak out. Like, that is not fitness. That is not strength. It's like people that go crazy if they can't eat their paleo diet. And it's like, I understand where you're going with this from a dietary perspective, but if you spent one day in the life as like a Paleolithic man, you'd fucking die, because it's not about how much fuel can I get on my plate. It's about survival. Like, it came with other things. You don't want your rituals and practices to become confining, and a lot of these things aren't things that you came up with for yourself. It's things that you picked up in your healing era from people that just seemed like they knew you better than you know you, and you've stacked up so many of other people's idea of right and wrong that's always based in what works for them, and you're now trying to make it like your thing. And here's something I really want you to think about, because I'm a Capricorn, I'm a planner. You guys know all about the love for scheduling, the love for a routine, the love for, let's face it, control, end to end control. Um, if I can have this realization, like, you can have this realization. But I was having a breakdown in the sauna like 2 years ago about, oh, I just can't seem to get my routine in place. And I was like, you know who I need to ask about this? Let me ask my future self. Future self meditation is something I do a lot. Like, when I can't, I'm like, there's a version of me that's figured this out. So like, I'm just gonna ask her directly, like, what's the fucking deal here? And I was asking, I saw my future self, and I was like, hey, like, what's my perfect routine for, what's my perfect routine like past 40? And my future self was fucking cracking up. Like, you guys know when like I'm on something, where I was like, fuck, this is so fucking funny. What's up with these fucking prayer beads? My future self was laughing like that. And she's like, you have this obsession with trying to make every single day the same. Like, how can I live the same exact way every single day? And she's fucking slapping her leg, laughing like, and the funniest thing is that the second that I get, because I'm an inherently a punk, inherently rebellious person, 6'3", super chaotic. Every time I get my routine perfect, I start to freak out that I'm bored. I'm like, we need to move to Bali, like, rebel against this routine. Like, as humans, we have the ability to live differently every single day. Like, every single day you could change your life. Every single day you could do something completely new. If you wanted to go scotch tape your panties to the wall, carry a cash register through the forest, like, do it. Like, you can do the cash register through the forest is actually from David Sedaris's book, Me Talk Pretty One Day, 12 Moments in the Life of the Artist, where he talks about his meth era. David Sedaris' meth era is like my favorite David Sedaris. We have the same birthday. He's my David Sedaris is my spirit animal. People see him living in his remote village in England, walking around the side of the road, picking up garbage off the side of the road. I'm like, this is my man. Like, this is my lovey right here. He is so fucking good, but he drag a cash register through a forest on meth and call it art. It's like the funniest thing. He's like, the funniest thing about being meth is that you have a full 24 hours a day to spread your wit and charm across the world. so fucking funny. I've got to read. I would pull that book off my bookshelf and read it again. But every single day you have the ability to like do something new. Like do something new. And a lot of people, a lot of Capricorns in their 20s are going to be clogging up your fucking social media feed, being like, listen to me. This is how you're going to succeed in life. You're going to wake up at 5. You're going to cold plunge. You're going to drink lemon water. You're going to put coffee up your ass. And then you're going to succeed. Don't fucking fall for it. From the crones in the audience, from those of us that have been through this. Not that we were like, oh, I was at that fork in the road and I chose wisely. Like, bro, you name it, we've done it. Banana girl diet, like, sure. I'll hack my way to the top of the food chain, eat nothing but fucking bananas. I mean, nothing. Now they're eating raw ground beef with egg yolks on it. This is how I look this way, my girl. That shit's called genetics. It's about to hit every branch down when you get pregnant for the first time. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Or do fall for it and have a laugh all the way from your belly once you get a little bit older. But like I'm urging you, as somebody that's been through that, to question the futility of trying to make every single day the same. Making every single day the same. Like, why? Like, what if every single day had medicine for you? What if you were blessed with a brand new wild hair up your ass each and every morning saying, or we could do it like this, or we could try this, or why don't we switch it up, or why don't we do something different? Because you know what comes with being obsessed with your routine? It's control. What comes with being obsessed with your routine is like a die-hard fear of change. So afraid, what's going to happen if my routine gets taken away? This is super natural when you have your first baby and you're just, your life is chaos and you're like, if I can just get the right routine, then it'll be fine. And your baby is constantly fucking up your routine. Your baby's constantly fucking up your routine. Their sleep schedule changes like crazy all the time. But you try, it's like the only way you can cling to your sanity is you're like, I have 95% of my life is like being a mom, but I'm really looking forward to this hour where I can be the me that's familiar to me when the baby's asleep. It's hard and I honor that, but you didn't come to earth to live the exact same way every day. And when you appreciate that, like every day you have a different thing that you're in the mood for, maybe it's different food, unless your clothes taste in human design. Maybe it's waking up late, maybe it's staying in bed, but you can have a lot of structure in your life if you're not trying to schedule it out exactly. And if you have a schedule where it's like every single day I have to be at work at 9, yeah, I super recommend waking up early and having a day before you have to go to work. But I also super recommend, if you've had a long, shitty day at work, watch your fucking caca TV, sleep in. Every single day you can do it differently. And that's when you're going to start to feel really creative because you're inspired. You're constantly being exposed to and inspired by different things. And if you're trying to live the same exact day every single day, then you're missing out on that. And it's a really cool life. Like it's a really cool life when and you know that. Let's segue a little bit here. I know you guys, the fucking rituals, the things I've tried. Tell me in the comments, you guys, what are some of the strangest routines you've done? I've done the lemon water was a big one for a long time. The morning pages was an even longer thing. And what sucks is that like if you're a writer, so many people do morning pages to like be a writer, but it's like if I write 3 pages a day, like I'm stoked. But if I write 3 pages in my journal, then I don't want to write anymore. It's like if I talk to my mom for an hour and 45 minutes in the morning, I don't want to talk to anybody else for the rest of the day because I've like used all my words. Ashtanga yoga. Ashtanga yoga was a routine that I got super, and that was actually really good for me. Like it was so good for me at that moment of my life that that infected my mind towards routine for so long. Like Ashtanga yoga, the discipline of it. If you've never done Ashtanga yoga, it's like martial arts. Like it's not like yoga. It's very martial. It's a training. It's the same thing every day. Beads on a mala, they call it discipline. What is it? Structure on the outside, freedom on the inside. That was like my mantra from Grigor Mall for so long. That was one that stuck with me for a long time and served me really well. But I was living a very like repetitive life where I went to work at the same time. So when I left and started traveling, trying to keep the Ashtanga yoga, I'm like, this is the one thing that's going to keep me sane. It was like basically impossible. You can see on your human design chart if you have mainly right facing arrows. So like on your human design chart, you have arrows up like near the head. There's four of them, and they all point in certain ways. If you have arrows that are mainly facing right, you don't really need a lot of like structure in your day. You can be very free flowing. That's like my husband. You can be pretty free flowing about anything. If you're somebody that has mainly left facing arrows, and in human design, left is active and right is passive, which is kind of different than we would expect it to be. Left is active, right is passive. It's like digestion, learning, mind, and environment. Um, if you have mainly left facing arrows, then you do well with more of a routine. And I have a lot of left facing arrows. If I try and work while I'm traveling, it's super hard for me. But my routine is has nothing to do with like a schedule. It has to do with moments. So there's certain moments that occur in our household every day. For example, waking up, morning shits, which is like, what we'll spend at least 2 hours a day talking about. Morning wake up, morning shits, breakfast, afternoon outdoor activity, creative activity. These are usually mopping the floor. These are usually like the things that we see all the time. So I can structure my life to go around the moments. I cannot tell you what minute it might be happening, but I can tell you that I always write after I wake up in the morning. So that's how it goes. Yeah, moments and minutes are the difference between Kronos and Kairos time. You learn about time in every single workshop that I teach because I just am very stubborn about this, that you will never master the magic that you're hoping to master, which is all fifth dimension. You don't understand how the fourth dimension works. So constantly just, like elegantly steamrolling people on the importance of using two kinds of time, both Kronos and Kairos, and understanding how to use them together. It's not about having a preference like, oh, Kairos time really works better for me. I'm sure it fucking does, babe. I'm sure it does. I'm sure not having a deadline is working out really great for you and how you feel on a day-to-day basis. But when you think about long-term projects and you think about how difficult it can be to return to the same thing over and over when you'd rather be doing something else, that's where the Chronos deadline is really useful, because Chronos helps us to all agree on a time when something will be done. So I'm going to play this concert at this time. You're going to arrive here at this time, and it's going to be say Ducey. But if one of us is operating on Kairos time, you're going to be sitting at the coffee shop waiting for me infinitely, depending on how much self-respect you have. And that's not that's not what we want. So let's go and read this exact question. I'll let people know for sure. I'll let people know, oh, this is the authorship Q&A. There was one question. It starts at 49 minutes. Got right to it today. But this question isn't going to take, we're going to spend some time unpacking it because it's so useful to all y'all. But if you guys have a question that you have, I will, don't put it in here right now because I won't see it. But in about, 30 Onami minutes, we should be able to address that. Oh, there's my coffee. Okay. A 2-5 ego projector. Love this. I love it when people include their human design on here. Could you talk a little more Jen, grateful for all these gems. Same. Could you talk a little more about building a platform from scratch for our books? I have pretty much zero online presence. So where would be a good place to start? Plus, how many social media sites without being overwhelmed? Thank you. Most important question for an author because to be, regardless of what publishing path you're taking, to be an author, to differentiate yourself from a writer that has stacks of, composition books filled with your novels, but they've never been published, they're never going anywhere. It's just basically like your hobby, your morning pages. To differentiate yourself from a writer to an author, you have to be someone that people want to read. You have to be someone that people want to read. The person asking this question is also a projector, and I had gotten this question in Safe House Q&A. I feel like there was a lot of disempowering language out there for projectors. Am I just supposed to sit around waiting for invitations? Absolutely not. The job of a projector is to be someone that can be invited, is to be invitable. And there is so much work that goes into constantly asserting yourself as an expert in your field of interest over and over and over again until people start to recognize and invite that out. This person is also, I think she has 2-5 here. So the two line, the hermit, also has to have that genius recognized and invited out. How is the genius of the two line recognized and invited out? They use this analogy of the man practicing the violin next to an open window, but facing the wall. Facing the wall means that the hermit, like someone in a cave, is completely immersed in their practice. They're not concerned with the audience. They might even have their eyes closed. And they're refining their skill. They're practicing. They're not paying attention to anybody else. But the window has been intentionally opened so that people walking by can hear the music and go, oh, cool. That's rad. Let me give you some more examples of this. Somebody that is a painter painting out in the open live, let's say it's a landscape artist, and they're completely immersed in the painting of this picture, but people can see them doing it and saying, "Oh, you're an artist." Let's bring this into the online space. Let's say that you're a writer and you're a two line, just like this person here. How are you constantly showing your audience without interrupting your workflow that you show up and write all day, every day, like you do? Could the unique style of your, like, for example, I need content to put out there, but my limitations are I am here to be observed, and nobody is observing me. I don't have a husband like you that can hold the camera for me, or my son. My son shot a video of me the other day, and people were like, "Is this cameraman on drugs?" But my son was itching his butt the whole time. So the camera was going like this. I told people in the comments that it was his leg because I didn't want them thinking about it, why his butt was itchy. But he was scratching, he was scratching his ass for whatever reason. And so the camera's going around like this. Um, but here's my limitations. I want to make content, but I can't spend a lot of time doing it. Great limitations. I also am here to be observed, and I don't have anybody that can observe me. And I'm a two line, so people need to see me working without it interrupting me. Well, what if your style for your Instagram reels forever was you setting up a time lapse every time you sat down to write? Oh, and here's your other limitation. I get super distracted by my phone. So how can I document that I'm writing without getting distracted by my phone? Because if my phone is there, I'm going to get distracted. Limitations create style. I'm here to be observed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a time lapse every time I sit down to write. And that way my phone's out of commission. I can't touch it because it's doing something for me. And I want people to be able to see that I'm sitting here for a really long time. This also actually really works with observed trajectory as well if you want to do voiceover or even just text on top of the video. But you can write your writing epiphany of the day on top of this time lapse footage and start to post it. Now you're getting a lot of birds stoned at once. You're being observed. And this also works for an observer as well. But if you're an observer, you might not want your face on camera because it doesn't make you comfortable and it's going to be harder for you. But you could always do it facing your back because there's nothing more erotic than a faceless brand. There is nothing more erotic than a faceless brand. Nothing. We're dying to see your face and you don't give it to us. And we're like, we see a little flick of your wrist, we see a little bit of your hand. You're like, I bet she's hot. Like it's so there's nothing more erotic than a faceless brand. And I've like literally squirted breast milk on people while doing live streams. And I'm like, why do I get banned from Instagram? I don't do this anymore. But I'm telling you, as somebody that has squirted breast milk on people on live streams on Instagram, there is nothing more erotic than a faceless brand. So, but now we're getting a lot of birdstone. We're making our phone inaccessible to us. We're filming our content. We're living according to our human design. We're making the content easy to post. We're encouraging ourselves to show up with consistency, not just for our manuscript, but now this is also informing our social media strategy, making us someone that people want to read. Now, as a projector, we are somebody that can be invited because now all of a sudden on social media, we're showing up over and over and over again, letting people know I am an author. This is what I do. I am an author. This is what I do. See me practicing, very demure. This is me showing up every single day for my craft. And then the invitations start coming. What are you working on? Can you inform me? What are you writing? What publishing path are you taking? I'm also working on a book, et cetera, et cetera. And then you start to build a reputation. And even if it's for, and now you have something that could go in two directions. There's the people that want to buy your book because they're so fucking curious about who this faceless you is and what you're working on. And you have an opportunity to tell them all the time, I'm working on a book. And now we're seed launching the book. And you never know who could see this on social media. Maybe it's a literary agent. Maybe it's book talk. Maybe you start to develop an audience of people that are super interested in what it is that you're writing because they've seen you write it for so long. Is the math thing now? Is it starting to like come together for you? Yeah. So also as an ego projector, you need to talk it out. Like you need to be able to talk out what it is that you're not going to get forward. You're not going to get the clarity on where you want the book to go if you're not talking about it. So every time you're putting something up on social media, you're like having a chance to clarify what it is. And to other people, it seems like you know exactly what you're doing. You're not a 6'3", so people aren't concerned about you the way they're concerned about me. You're 2'5". You're here to influence strangers. That's the 5 line is the celebrity energy, here to influence strangers. Celebrities, people say, oh, he's not like that in real life. Yeah, but how people perceive a celebrity, that specific taste, that world, that's like what the 5 line is. They have the strongest impact on strangers. I always recommend for people that are 5 lines is to either have a conversation with your friends and family about who you are online and please don't bother me while I'm at work. This is me working the crowd. Or just restrict them, hide them, remove them from your follow list. And if they're like, why did you take me off of your social media? Say, it's because your approval means a lot to me, and I'm growing a brand right now, and I just don't feel like I can grow a brand under your watchful eyes because I'm going to be trying to please you, and I need to focus on like working the room. People can usually handle that. I'm telling you from experience. So all of these, the more limitations you have, the more unique your style is. And there's a way that like your business can be so easy, that your marketing can be so easy. This is what I don't have a shortcut to this. I just have my workshop fuck list And my workshop fuck list, there's two versions of it. There's like the express version, which is for people that just want a content strategy. And then there's the professional version of it, which is you understanding how to build a marketing funnel so that your passive income can actually become passive one day. Um, Express version is going to teach you about the internal work you need. Fuck list is about authenticity and marketing together. Authentic marketing doesn't require ads. Authentic marketing is going to feel easy. Authentic marketing is honoring your limitations and flaws that you think that you need to change about yourself when actually they're like defining characteristics of your style. And then we take it to human design and we look up objectively what your authentic voice sounds like, and even more importantly, what your authentic voice does not sound like, what it sounds like and what it does not sound like. So it's so much more useful to know what off-brand sounds like for you because nobody's ever really called this out for you before. When you do this thing that is very tempting for you to do, it's very tempting for you to do off-brand, and your off-brand has a flavor, has a taste that's as unique as your authentic voice. And the temptation to speak in an off-brand way is going to be just as appealing. And you're going to say, "Ooh, I just got the intuitive hit to post this really off-brand thing." It's going to seem like that. So you need to know the exact taste of what off-brand is. I need to make sure that I write this down for myself because I got to put it in my branding. Let me send this to myself here. Onami, never lose an idea, you guys. Text it to myself. Onami House, the taste of off brand. And this is going to make its way into my note for all things on fuckless marketing that you guys hear about. It's going to go into my content strategy for fuckless, which isn't coming out for like another 4 months, the next version of it. If you know what off-brand is, you can avoid it. So for example, off-brand for me is trying to be shocking and provocative when I'm naturally shocking and provocative. Like anything I do is shocking to people. Things that seem totally normal to me is like appalling for for other people. But when I have the intuitive hit to make a post kind of calling someone out, like in unschooling over and over again, I keep wanting to make this provocative post. It's like it's so strange that people say that I'm neglecting my kids by being with them 24/7, 365, when you send your kid to be raised by strangers for 30 hours a week in an environment where there's bullies, drugs, and they need to withstand shooting drills to be able to be there. And always something that it's always like provocative to me. I so bad want to say these to people, unprompted, not responding, just out of the blue. Like I so bad. I'm like begging someone to, and I keep ignoring the neglect comment when they come up so I don't have something to like respond to with it. But I get this specific word, you're neglecting your kids all the time. And it's a really funny thing for me. But that is not actually teaching anybody anything. That's just straight up saying, you shit on me, you doo-doo on my face. No, I'm gonna doo-doo on your face. This is not, I'm gonna win. Don't bring the fart to this shit show. I'm gonna shit all over you. Like, no, not okay. Done. Hey, little bright one. That's not what I'm here to do. That is me. That is the taste. That is the taste of wanting to be shocking just for the sake of being shocking, not wanting to teach, not wanting to be loving with people, not actually accomplishing anything, just saying, hey, you fuck me, I fuck you. We don't want to do that. And so I used to feel, and the thing is like these oft brand posts are always going to get you attention because it's like rage bait, it's always going to make people like, it's attention seeking, but it's not like intentional. And so the problem with this is that you can rack up a really solid audience of reactive people from posts like this, but they're never going to pay you. And here's how you know they're never going to pay you. When you go and look at the comments, people are saying, I know. They're not saying, this post blew my mind. This post changed my perspective. Now, when I'm talking about unschooling in a way that's saying, I don't believe that this is the way for everybody. In fact, I think that you should have a fair bit of planning, ideally, because whatever system your children is enrolled in, this is going to be like their normal. So if you've enrolled them in school and then you're ripping them out, it's going to be hard for them. Also, when your kids are in school, you're just going to have to accept that they're going to want what the other kids have. So, like, if you don't want Roblox and Minecraft and TikTok to be a part of your child's life, it's not really fair to immerse them in an environment where they're the only people that don't have it and they're weird, because it's weirder to be the one kid that doesn't have it than to be the homeschooled kid in public school. Our live stream is ending on Instagram. So I'm just going to pause this recording for a second. We'll come right back. Okay, back in the habit. So it's going to seem really appealing to speak in an off-brand way, but you're never going to be able to monetize that audience. And it sucks because then you have really confusing data. You're like, wow, I have 54,000 people following me, but every time I go to put something for sale, nobody buys it, or like nobody's watching my stories. A lot of times people are like, oh, I get shadow banned or suppressed. And this is just what happens when you kind of built an audience off of like rage baiting and being reactive, but you built an audience of like-minded people, and like-minded people don't feel like you have anything to teach them. So when I really lean hard on my branding, which is hard to do, especially on the topic of something like free schooling, where I get comments every single day somewhere, if the notifications come through, especially on TikTok. TikTok loves to be like, did you know that 3 days ago someone said this hateful thing on your thing? Let me like bump it up as a banner on your or like TikTok. Like, could we ever do this with nice things people say? So TikTok is always trying to prompt you to like get pissed. But on the topic of something like unschooling, where people are super heated about it, the urge to be reactive and the urge to be a hater and the urge to post in an off-brand way for myself is super strong. Sometimes it takes me on an unschooling reel 3 or 4 takes, and I'm not talking about consecutive. I'm talking about overdoing it and being like, thank you to my husband, walking off, and then being like, I feel in my heart that I was like pissed at who asked that question. And in free schooling, it's never inconvenient to solve a problem. We're not getting pissed that someone asked the question. We're like, this is learning, this is good. We love questions. But sometimes it takes me coming back around, Magic, can we shoot this again? Can we shoot this again? Until I soften and then can deliver a message that's like, look, I understand why you would ask something like this, and here's my answer. When I do that, then I start to get comments from people saying, I've never actually thought about unschooling my kids before, but since hearing you talk about this, this is really something that I'm interested in doing right now. I don't have kids yet, but I'm definitely going to think about this now. This is the impact that we want to have. These are people that would buy a book on unschooling from you. These are people that would buy your product. These are people that are learning something from you. Having a big brand, building an audience from an off-brand messaging system is just going to get really confusing and really frustrating for you. Frustrating for you if you're a generator or a manifesting generator. Angering for you if you're a manifester. It's going to make you very bitter if you're a projector. And it's going to make you very disappointed if you're a reflector. I was listening to Summer Walker yesterday while my daughter and I were doing Air Dry Clay. She's a projector. Her first album, over it. Her second album, still over it. First track on her second album, still over it. Bitter. Mad at my nigga. Like, when a projector is bitter, ooh, watch out. Travis Barker's ex, Shanna Mokler, talking about how somebody was tipping off TMZ about what a bad mom she was all the time, and then and then when he gets in the plane crash, she's looking through his email to find something and sees all these comment approval things from TMZ. It was him, her husband, tipping off the fucking press to about what a shitty mom and stuff she was. Crazy. But when a projector is bitter, I said that to my human design friend. I said, "Did you see this thing?" She goes, "When a projector is bitter, watch out." So everyone has a unique flavor of what out of alignment looks like for them. But it's really easy now. And you see people doing this all the time, mainly on TikTok, of people building an audience that's really just building the audience for an audience sake. And it used to be like when you could sell an account that had 50,000 followers or whatever, and people didn't care. You could just like buy followers. It was a thing. But now people really look at engagement and don't ever buy anybody else's audience ever. I literally did like a $30,000 training on this about like, can you rent someone else's audience and can you maybe buy them and build out a media company? People, no, don't do it. Just build your own audience based on attention and intention for what you want. But to me, putting all of this into a workshop, a 10 session workshop where it's like, this is how you do branding in an objectively aligned way. Objectively aligned means that everyone's going to get the same questions. Let's go and look at this part of your human design chart one piece at a time. We're only covering 10 pieces in the human design. And let's draw this down. If this is what your messaging sounds like on brand, and this is what your messaging sounds like off brand, then your homework for the week is to turn in one piece of content using this. And then we're going to build on the next time. Are you here to have a faceless brand? Are you an observer, or are you here to be observed? Now let's make one piece of content using your messaging and your observer observe strategy. Very good. What's your biggest money key and what's your biggest money block? All right, now let's make a piece of content using your observed strategy, using your messaging that's on brand, and also leaning into the magic of your money key or money block. Let's lean into the profile lines. So I love it when people have their human design listed on Safe House because I can apply, like this person who asked the question does. It's because I can make sure that the information that I'm giving to you is very specific to who you objectively are. And so to me, it's really useful to take these internal magical tools. All of my workshops are part magic and part business on Fucklist, which is honestly like I think one of the best workshops that I've ever done just because it's so complete. On the magical side, it's how to become objectively authentic. That's not just human design, but that's to become authentic, to go from the fake you to the real you and show that. The alchemy of it is you have to know yourself well enough to trust yourself well enough to be yourself and know that that's okay. So first things first, you have to get to know yourself if you don't know yourself. And if you don't know how to get to know yourself, like nothing can happen. If you don't know yourself, anyone is telling you what you are and you believe them. Secondly, once you know that person, you have to build trust in yourself, which is really so much more about stopping doing the things that break down your trust in yourself. It's a lot less about what you need to start doing and more about like all of these different ways in your life that you are constantly damaging your own self-trust. And if we just get rid of those, like that's enough. It's not really so much about what we need to add in. And then once you know yourself and you trust yourself, it's now time to officially go and be yourself and know that that's enough, not just in your relationships, but also in the marketplace. And then because it's an Enneagram, the inevitable fallout that occurs when you start being yourself authentically, five lines are really going to go through this. And a close friend or family member says, "This new version of you, I don't like. Please go back to faking it or lose your relationship with me." At which point you say, "Peace." Now, if this happened at the beginning of your journey, you might say, "Shit, I need to go back to square one." But luckily, this fallout, the big one, happens at the end of your journey. And at that point, I've been guiding you the whole time. So at that point, it's like, bro, I have a bigger ass because I've been doing squats. I'm not mad at my pants for not fitting anymore. I'm not mad at my pants. It's time for me to get some bigger pants. You friend that want me to go back to being a flat ass, and I should stop saying this because I've given up on squats, unless I really decide that I want to do it one day. Friend, you're the old pants that have to go because I like my new butt. I like my new butt, and I don't really fucking care how you feel about it. So let's do this. So that's the magical side. On the business side of fuck lists, your core offer. What is your core offer out of all of the business offerings that you have? What is your core offer? From there, how do we develop this core offer into a market research backed, limitation informed product? So it's core offer, product development. In addition to this, marketing without ads. You can take a lot of marketing courses, but they're going to tell you how to spend a lot of money on ads and not the fucking bottom line about the input output levels, the profit and loss when it comes to running ads and what you can expect from running ads and what growing an audience based on ads is going to look like for your ability to convert them into paying customers. We have content strategy, we have all types of marketing, and then we have launching specifically. Launching is not a product reveal. Your book launch is not a product reveal, it's a seduction. You didn't know you want this book. I'm telling you, you do. And then in addition to launching, it's a marketing funnel. So a marketing funnel ensures that your launch is optimized. A marketing funnel isn't like a platform that you use where people, it's not ClickFunnels, the platform. A marketing funnel is a series of pieces of free content that are linked together by nurturing emails brokered by an automation so that people can come across this piece of content. Oh, that's cool. And there's an opt-in that takes them through this whole journey from uninterested to sold. So for the Wheels Reinvented book, people would see my, 90-second reel. Here's how to heal a fucked up childhood without therapy. And at the end of that video, it says, get this free book. They go and they sign up for the free book, the page of which is optimized to make it very easy for them. They get the book right away, law of reciprocity. Damn, girl, you scratch my back, I want to scratch yours. Then they start getting emails that follow a very specific sequence. It has to follow a specific sequence. You're not selling to them until like the very fucking end. These marketing emails start to build this story, a story that people can relate to because marketing is making people feel seen and heard. Now, how do you make someone feel seen and heard if you can't physically see them and you don't have the time to physically hear everybody? You understand the truth of your story and you share it raw. You share it flawed. You share it vulnerably, and people recognize when you tell your story, and this is where the authentic side of this workshop comes in. When you tell that throbbing, visceral story of what made you create the thing that you're creating, people go, oh my God, I feel seen. Oh my God, I went through the same thing. You're talking, that pulsing thing is the pain of your story. And even if nobody else in the world, because nobody else in the world went through what you did, but we all have grief and we all have pain. And so you wrote this book to solve a problem, even if just the pain was that, like, you stopped loving reading, you don't love reading anymore. So you just wanted a book. You just wanted to remember what it felt like to be a kid and like loving to read, or maybe that never happened for you and you wanted to be a reader, but it's so frustrating to read books. And so you just make audiobooks, or you made reading great again, or you have a book club that's all about books that are easy to read so you can feel the satisfaction of closing a book. Like, that's what makes people feel seen and heard. And that's marketing, is they're like, wow, they made this product just for me. So, and then after the marketing funnel is completed, I teach you how to find the relevant data and use it to create the next round of the product next time. So like I said, there's two versions of Fuckless. Like for the people that are doing the fast version, it's the same workshop. I just tell you you can skip these videos. For people doing the fast version, they'll come around the second time and do the long version. For people doing the fast version that just need to crank out, that just need to get their content strategy, I have them do the internal work on being authentic, which is like 10 minutes videos, nothing crazy. I have them do the human design content strategy side of it, which is 10 3-minute videos. Again, nothing crazy. And I have them do the first three lessons, which is like core offer, lead magnet, and launch emails, just so that, and it'll take 7 sessions less than somebody doing the full version. That's really just so that they can get their content and so that they can get their launch out there and just but when they come around the second time, they'll need to learn how to like stabilize their launches so that they can do it more. The launch and what you get at the end of this is a big red button for your business that says money that you can press when you want money. So when you have a launch and a system of launching that doesn't drain you personally because it's been formulated to hit every spot that someone needs to go from uninterested to sold, it's been designed in a way that's reusable, then with a very minimal amount of energy, keeping in mind that launching is what usually takes up most of an entrepreneur's energy. When we have a button that we can press that's only going to require like 10% effort for you, there's nothing stopping you from just tapping money in your business all day, every day. Like that's fucking cool. That's fucking cool. So that's what we do in Fuckless. And if you are having a hard time just like putting yourself out there on social media, then investing in it's only $200 a month to do this on Safe House. You get access to all of the other workshops. I think Fuckless a la carte is $900. That's also a really good workshop to have a la carte because you will use it over and over again. There's so many resources and everything in that. So there's a lot of value in either one. When you do my school, you get Q&A every single Friday and you get me as a guidance counselor. But Fuckless, it's a business course. There's magic in it, of course, but it's like a business course and you need that. But it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing to learn. And to me, that is the best. If you can't just put yourself out there or you're sick of putting yourself out there and it's just not really working, then it'll be a big relief for you to know, like, if I do it like this, it will work. And not only that, but you'll be trained in this workshop how to handle the fame that comes with it because more eyes on you is more praise and more rejection. And so training yourself, like you guys can see on the reviews, a lot of people are like, within the first 3 months, they have their within the first three lessons. I'm sorry, not the first 3 months. It'll only take you a month and a half to complete this. Within the first three lessons, they had their first post going viral. And the beautiful thing about these reviews is that they're not just talking about like, wow, I went viral, but they're like, I went viral and I'm handling it really well. I went viral and the comment section doesn't bother me. They're being able to actually use fame for what it's here to be used for. And that's really, really cool. So if there was a quicker way to do it, I would tell you. I'd be like, yeah, just get out there and do it. But the thing is that, the quicker way people will tell you is just put yourself out there. Well, who's yourself? And they go, oh, well, just be who you are on the inside. Well, you can't because you're telling the world one thing about yourself that's like a super inflated version. And then the equal and opposite reaction is a super deflated version that lives inside of you. So you can't be who you are on the inside because neither of these yous are true. It's somewhere in the middle. Like to the world, you say, oh, I'm such a success and I'm creative every single day. And on the inside, you say, I'm such a failure. I haven't written in 2 weeks. Neither of these versions of you are true. So you can't just put yourself out there when you don't know who that is. And you can't be who you are on the inside because it's not an accurate representation of who you are. That's when somebody goes from like, I'm not going to go into a specific example here because I don't want to yuck your yum. For some people, everybody's got a different brand. So it only matters what your brand is, but you could really judge somebody like Kanye West, for example, and be like, oh my God, this guy's a fucking loose cannon. But when you look at his human design chart, you're like, this is actually really on brand for him. And if it's on brand for you, it's always going to work. So there's it's not about what's the right thing or the wrong thing to do. There's no one size fits all approach to this, but there is a way that you can find objectively your tailored strategy, and human design is a really useful tool for that. So if this sounded interesting to you, you can go at any time, mommyonami.com, go to the workshops area and hit fuckless. When you go there, you'll see that there's a free 120-page book and audiobook. Are you going to have to read all 120 pages? No, because it's covering all the different human design types, but we set up the audiobook and the book. You can get the free ebook or get the book for $8 from Amazon. You can get the audiobook on my app. It's all available there, but you will just have to listen. If you're a manifesting generator, you would just listen to the manifesting generator bits, as my daughter says, my bits. And that would be totally fine for you. But there's nowhere in my school, and when it comes to my book launch, there's not going to be any moment in your customer journey where you feel like you have to trust me, because the option is always there to try me. And the experience of trying me is my marketing funnel. So no other author and has ever said, try a sample of my book. Try this 7 Locks, 7 Keys free ebook. And if you like it, you might want the full book. No one has ever, because books are usually so low content, but for this Wheels Reinvented, I'm just modifying the existing launch that has converted so highly for so many years and just modifying that into a book launch. So now that whole seduction that people were going through, that whole try me experience, that is a marketing funnel, that strangers can meet me on the internet on a post that had 3.5 million views on Instagram, a million views on TikTok. These people are able to meet me from this reel and then try me for free. And then nurturing emails tells them more about my story, which lets them feel seen and heard because it's vulnerable. Before, they used to reach the end of this funnel and say, okay, if you want to continue, it's going to be $900 or $200 a month. Now, when they get to the end of this funnel, it says, and the book is $28, and that's it. So would you like to buy it? Yes or no? And we'll see how it works. That's what authorship gets around here. So quick questions. It's now a good time for any quick question. We'll do this on Instagram, but Jen's busy. KK, do you have any questions about this? If so, I'll answer you for sure. Okay, cool. Yeah, there's not usually a lot of questions lingering around over here. But if you guys have been interested in any of this conversation, the two main resources that we talked about today was the authorship, where you guys can get a free 4-part series for authors by going to mommyonami.com/authors. We also talked about Fuckless, and again, you're under no pressure to buy Fuckless. You're very aware of what it is now, but you can get the free ebook and see it for yourself. People love this book. And something I love about, so the book in itself is a launch. I added the internal lessons. They're not explained, but the homework for it is there. It's a aesthetically really pleasing book to me, at least. But I use like different fonts and stuff for the publishing of this book. I built the whole book in Canva, but then people were like, I hate the font because it's not like Times New Roman. And so that's something that I'll definitely consider with future books, is because I was like, oh, people are going to love this book because it's aesthetic. But with books, people really want books. And I'm always learning new things about people and books. Is like, don't ever underestimate. In a world that's constantly changing, people do really like a book, like a book that books. So I was like, with this book, leave this book in your bathroom. I was this one. I was super, there's my little my author copy, my little galley here. It's not for resale. Keep forgetting that I have copies of this book in my home. I should probably just leave them all in my bathroom so that I stop looking for them. But I was certain that because it was like a page a day format, that people would love it as a automated email. So you get an email from me every single day. I was so certain that people would love this that I paid somebody on Fiverr $100 to put all of these lessons into automation sequence in case I wanted to use them. And then I actually went on live and talked to people about it, and unanimously, there was nobody that said that they wanted a page a day email. Like literally nobody, not one person. Everybody said a book. And I was like, yeah, but you're going to have to carry this book around with you for 365 days if you travel or something. They're like, we don't care. I was like, okay, well, what if what if I put the lessons in the app so that you don't have to take this book? I just assumed that people were so inconvenienced by carrying around a book. Yet I've never been inconvenienced by carrying around a book. I have a pleasure book and a business book that I'm always carrying around with me all the time. So people do really appreciate a book that books. And the launch for Fuckless always has the option of, you can get the ebook for free, or if you want a paper one to hold in your hand, 'cause there's worksheets. I love making Amazon do what they do. Like I charge the minimum possible amount, like just over the printing cost, and then have Amazon fucking ship them for me for free. I love being able, because it's a launch, so I can take a financial hit on that. But just about all of my other books will probably be at 28 bucks. All right, cool. So how do I have lessons with you, and how can I message or reach out to you? I tried DMing you. How'd that go? I don't check I don't check DMs, like, period. Um like at all. I actually don't even know how to check DMs on TikTok either. Like I don't even know where they are. I've never opened them up in my life. All of my private attention is reserved for my students. And so if you go to mommyonami.com, you'll see that there's a tab that says study. And study will explain to you what my school is. My school is called Safe House. It's a harmony of all of my workshops together, punctuated by weekly Q&A, and us as your guidance counselors. So you don't come in and see all these workshops and say, where do I start? You come in and you talk to me directly, and we talk about where it is that you're going to start, and we assign workshops to you, and then you check in with us on a weekly basis. So it's not group, it's a whole bunch of individual students. A lot of people are like, it needs to be clearer how I can work with you directly. But when I've actually talked to these people, they've never gone to my website. And so I understand that, like, there might be an expectation that social media is like the end all be all, that if something didn't get delivered to your email, to send me a DM about it, or to comment, go to somebody's website. And like, websites are still legit. If they stop being legit, like, I guess the comment section will tell me, but like, everything is on my website, mommyonami.com. So anytime, any information that you need, bio, how to work with me, do I do one-on-one, what are my different workshops, what are the free things that come with all of my workshops, like, all of this is available on my website, mommyonami.com. And I think that you'll really like it. So that's how I have 4 one-on-one spaces opening in November, but it's literally, I just got to tell you this straight out. It's like celebrities only. That's like the only people that can afford it, and that have the kind of impact that I'm trying to create. Like, people that know people, people that are reaching a lot of people, that are surrounded by other people that are reaching a lot of people. I need to know that if I'm doing a one-on-one session with somebody, that the ripple effect is going to be huge. Otherwise, I don't make my money from one-on-one. It's not about the money, it's about the impact. I don't have private conversations with people outside of my school that aren't going to create a big impact. So that's how. If you guys think, like, definitely tell me in the comments. I'm never going to hire somebody to respond to DMs. Like, this isn't Glossier or Glossier. I'm not ever going to have somebody that works on my team that says, like, sent you a DM, or that responds to the comment section. Because anytime you see my name, it's me talking. That's a choice that I make in my business. My team doesn't message from my account. My team doesn't send emails. If it says Mommy Onami, it's coming from me. So the cost that is that there's never going to be somebody that's like watching all of the comments. It's like, yes, I can provide you with tech support for your email in a comment thread on social media. Like, I will literally make you the plate of food. I will give it to you for free, but it is your responsibility to chew it and swallow it on your own. That little bit of effort of going to a website is important, is important. So DUI coaching, sick. Fucking sick niche. This person on Instagram, DUI coaching. If that's driving under the influence coaching, and you're coaching people through that process, that's fucking sick. That's a fucking sick niche. That's awesome. How do I know what workshop or class I should start with, though? I literally just told you. Oh, wait, that might have been somebody else. When you join and go and look at my website, go to mommyonami.com, go to where it says study, and you see the whole page describing what the school experience is. When you join our school, you get an option to message me directly, to literally message me directly. I give you specific questions I want you to answer. And we together, you know it's me because you get a voice note. You hear the sound of my voice. You're not allowed to send me voice notes, but I'll send you a voice note saying, okay, so it looks like this is what's going on in your life. You've told us this bit about you. This is what we think would be the next best workshop for you to do. And if you can handle two at a time, then this one alongside this one. When you're done with this workshop and ready for more work, reach out to us here and we will get you the next one. Always how it goes. So it's like a whole process. But we have no shortage of students. We always have space for more students, but everybody that is a student was committed enough to doing this work that they got off of social media, went to my website and started shopping around. So that's like definitely where it starts. You're not in trouble, but like stop waiting around for people. Like, stop waiting around for a publisher. Stop waiting around for some guy to call you back. Stop waiting around for a job opportunity. Stop waiting around for this shit. Make something happen. There's always a move that you can do. Their world is stuck in this like complete pattern where it's like everyone's the baby. It's really common for youngest children and families to want everything done for them because they're like the baby. It's really, yeah, and we have our little trick ways of asking people if they're the youngest. We go, do you have a sibling? You look really familiar. And they go, yeah, I have three older brothers. You're like, you're the baby. People really want things to be done completely for them, but there's really it's like this like side effect of the internet right now where there's all these people being a baby in the comments. I signed up for your thing, but it's not in my junk mail. Bro, you have an email that says if you need help, contact support at mommyonami.com. You left the scene of that email, came and found me on social media and are crying about not finding. Do you want the fucking book? Go find it. And then the shitty part is that every single, unless you've unsubscribed from our list before, every single time we go and look up on the back end, it's not me, it's my assistant. We go and look up on the back end, it's sent to you by a computer, it's automated to go out. So we know that it's been sent, but when you say, I can't find it, I'm the baby. You know me, right? This is my special thing. Oh, I can't believe there's a real person at the other end of this. And it's like, we have to go and look up with our newsletter provider if it was sent to you, and it was always sent to you and is sitting in the place that you said you checked, but you just didn't check it. And now it's like, congratulations, you took up 5 minutes of my team's time, and we're still really nice to you. And we're still really nice here. It's like, no problem. Is there anything else we can help you with? So now you're getting the real version from me on here. Quit being a dumbass. Go find it. All right, you guys, thank you so much for this. We do authorship Q&A on the last Monday of every single month. So this replay will be on YouTube. That's humiliating, people. What was your relationship like? Well, you know what, honey? I totally understand why you think that this is humiliating, people. I completely understand. You have every right to think that. You have every right to believe that. But I'm cool with it. For today, I'm cool with it. So love you guys. Have a wonderful day. Bye, everybody. Have a good day. Bye. I can be humiliating. It's true. But for today, I'm good with it. All right. Love you guys. Have a good day. I'll see you next time. Bye.